every single inch of LA Live, from the Staples to the Nokia Theater, everything in between. It is all X Games. And here we are with Jagger Eaton, 11 years old, the youngest competitor in X Games history from Mesa, Arizona.
And we're just going to start things off with a backflip off of the 50-foot into a big McTwist 540. And good way to start the big air event here.
And there you see his brother Jet Eaton. Jet was actually injured about a month ago and unable to compete in big air. So Jagger said, you know what, I'm going to step it up and qualify for my brother. An incredible story. Next up, from Stockholm, Sweden, it is Jake Olsen. But I don't believe that is Olsen in the start yet. Ah, there he is, up on the big roll and coming in across the 65-footer. 40 years old, our oldest competitor at X Games. And what happened there with Jake?
Jake went for a backflip over the 70-foot. He ended up overshooting it, and when you overshoot a backflip, that just throws you into a manual or a wheelie. There's no way to really save a backflip if you go too far, and that's what happened to him.
Can you believe that we just watched an 11-year-old and then a 40-year-old go on the same ramp? Well, next up is Jono Schwan from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And nice melon 360 to a big semi-Christ there. He saved it. There's so much time up there when those guys hit the big jump that if they do an air and something's not right, there's time to fix it. There's time to actually find your board if it's not flipping the right way and put it back under your feet.
Indeed, Jono from Colorado Springs, you know, we have those wildfires that are going out there. Our hearts go out to all of them. We're unsure if his family needed to be evacuated yet, but we're happy to have him here. And of course, Michi Brusco, the veteran at 15 years. This is his second X Games big Ollie 360. Sends it into a big 540, 14 feet 8 inches first run for the kid. That his whole energy is different this year. Last year he was all nerves, and now he's all cool, calm, and the vet at 15.
He's been through a few events since then. That's going to be interesting to see what the judges think, because Jagger did basically the same run with a backflip instead of a 360.
Next up, you know him, unbreakable Jake Brown. He's won this event twice before, but did not podium last year. He's been focused, more practiced than anyone this year. Really wants to make it back up under the podium.
This Jake, mute 360 over the 65-footer. Overshot a little bit into a huge McTwist and not quite pulling off enough. The wind is a bit of a factor here, and it's pushing out towards the deck, so these guys are having a problem hanging up, and I think that's what happened right there. Just wasn't sure if he was going to land that properly.
You see a nice shot of our 300-foot-long monstrous big air. We have 3 heats. Our first heat will be a 15-minute jam format. The second one, 18 minutes, and our third one will be 15 minutes. The top 2 riders from each heat will automatically advance. Then the top 5 scores behind them, they will move on with the top 2 from each heat into our heats round on Friday.
Here we go, Jake Olsen, oldest competitor here, 40 years old, into a backflip, 65-footer. Landed clean that time into a big one-footed air. It looked like he was just, his body positioning was a little off there. I don't think that was the wind. I think he just had a bad takeoff, and he's working his way up there, though.
Well, once you get up above that 15-foot range, how much harder is it to bring it back in? As we saw, he was up about 19 feet.
Well, if you're on the way to overturning, you're not going to save it. Jono Schwan, melon 360, pretty clean. Oh, wow. He started wobbling there, coming down the landing, and it just threw him into the flat. That was a heavy hit.
It's been so cool to watch Michi over the last year. Gained about 5 pounds, he said, grew about 3 inches. He was playing football up until 2010 pretty actively, and just last year decided, you know what, skateboarding is my thing. Retired from his wide receiver defensive end position. How about that save on the
tippy toes right there. Right there, going for a kickflip Indy. I saw him do that same run earlier today. He did a backslide ollie 360, and then he went to kickflip Indy, caught the board on the wrong side and had so much time in the air that he ended up flipping it over and catching it again.
Now you see a nice perspective of what it's like to take the long ride back up to the top. This structure, 88 feet from the ground up to the top, and when you walk out of the elevator, even if you ride this thing, these guys, it's still intimidating. Well, we talk about Mitchie Brusco being the veteran now. Let's get some more perspective from the third member of our team, Jen Brown. Hey, Jen.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Well, you guys know Mitchie broke his right wrist. I talked to his mother before the competition. She said they actually took it off on Monday, so just in time for X Games. The doctor looked at him and said, no contact sports for 4 weeks. And he looked at his mom and said, hey, look, skateboarding's not a contact sport. She said, you were right. So here he is competing.
Well, I guess if he was still playing football, he'd have to listen. The first bone that he's ever broken, and he didn't do it on Mega, he did it on a 4-foot mini ramp in his backyard.
Yeah.
Here's Jake Brown.
Here we go. Jake's looking for that big McTwist. Coming up almost around 20 feet, 18 foot 1 inch right there, and that was his safety run, if you can believe it. That's the one he wanted to get under his belt before he starts trying some of the harder stuff.
I saw him spin a no-grab 720. He didn't put it down, but I talked to Jeff Jewett and a few others. They said it looks like he can make it. I don't know if we'll see something like that today, but anything's possible with Jake.
Here's Jake with a big McTwist. Oh, Jagger. I think that was a hard flip right there to another 540.
And you can hear the crowd making some noise for these kids. Jagger again saying that he was focused, that he was skating for his brother Jet, who he wishes was in here with him. And from the youngest back up to the oldest, when we talk about, you know, Woodward Camp and having mini mega ramps and foam pits, etc., even for Jake Olsen, who's 40 years old, he tried Mega in 2005 at Bob's house unsuccessfully, but went out to Woodward and trained in the same way these kids did in the last couple of months, and now he's finding success.
It is, and the fact that it's so accessible and that they can go there and literally live there and ride it day after day, that's what's helping them so much in this, and we've never seen so much training in different areas leading up to this event. Usually it's a few guys at Bob's house sporadically doing it, and now they're living at Woodward. They're living on the mega ramp. Schwann wants a, looks like a bit of an early takeoff there, but a nice melon 540.
So Jake Brown starts it off with a full pull, and now we're getting consistent. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to log on to xgames.com. We have a plethora of content available, all sorts of great pods for you on all these kids. There's 5 really great pieces on all these young kids and what makes them so interesting as a group and as individuals.
Whoa, looks like Mitch is going to try some harder here because he had, there we go. Oh, kick flip Indy to hand flip. So that means he flipped the board once, caught it, used his hand to flip it another time, caught it again.
Shades of his mentor, the defending champion, Bob Burnquist.
True, that's I've done a bunch of demos with Mitchie on traditional vert ramps, and that's usually his ender. That's when we're done with the demo. Mitchie did that trick, we're out of here. And now he's using it to qualify for the next round.
Unbelievable. There's a nice look at it again. You see that hand flip. How hard is that on Mega?
You know what? I think it's a little bit easier on Mega because you have all that time.
True.
Whoa, whoa. Jake. It looks like he's going to fall on the quarter pipe into a McTwist.
Now, when we go through this replay, I want you to explain to me what happens when he lands across the gap. If we see it, he extends his hands wide open.
It looked like his feet were in the wrong position there, and he wasn't quite ready for the quarter pipe, but he just decided, well, I'm at the top. If I tuck it, it should work. And it did. There we go. Jagger with that hard flip.
You see him here spotting it as Jake in Mega mode. Well, we saw him go for that 900 on his last run, and wouldn't it be great to make some X Games history right out of the gates in Heat 1. Can Mitchie Brusco get the full pull and make the 9? And then you see the score dropping for Schwann. It stays in 81.
Well, there we go. Mitchie's in. He's top 2 in the heat this last run. This is somewhat of a victory lap right here. But let's see a 900. Yep, that's pretty good. There you go. There you go, Mitchie Brusco, 900, big air.
The first 900 ever landed in competition on big air at the X Games. We saw him make it in practice last year, and just like that, there you see his mom, Jennifer. She's so pumped. Mitchie Brusco doing what he wanted to do last year and making X Games history. And that is setting the tone, no doubt, for the next 4 days. Take a look at this. 11-11. Not one hit over 5.
Hope you enjoy. Subscribe. See ya.